For almost a year, Dr. Fauci's agency has stonewalled Judicial Watch's request, a lawful request. So this is an outlaw response. FOIA law requires documents be turned over within a certain amount of time. And if they're not turned over, there has to be justification for the withholding. And that's not happening. The other big issue is COVID-19. I know even by saying the word COVID-19, it means that this video will be less likely to be shown and more difficult to share on social media because, as I said, big tech is policing any discussions of COVID-19 because they are on behalf of government enterprises who are pushing a particular narrative on COVID-19, suppressing discussion about it. But Judicial Watch is coming up with facts and information about COVID-19 and Wuhan and China and all of that is just remarkable. We've already uncovered, for instance, how Fauci's NIH and I think he has one of the, so NIH has a bunch of institutes, National Institutes of Health, and one of the institutes underneath it is the National, I think, Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, of which Dr. Fauci is the head. And we uncovered records, thanks to a lawsuit we filed on behalf of Daily Caller News Foundation, showing that Fauci's NIH, he and his deputy, Fauci authorized a release that went out of its way to praise China in terms of its response to COVID. And then B, they were signing confidentiality agreements whose terms were dictated by China, and they had to get China's approval to release certain information. All of this thanks to WHO, which Biden, by the way, got the United States back into and is still kowtowing to China. So that all being said, another big issue is where the virus came from. Now, it obviously originated in China, and the question is, did it come from an animal to human transmission, or as some allege, was it the result of a virus escaping from a lab there? And there's a big lab in Wuhan called the Wuhan Institute for Virology. And the United States, directly and indirectly, has provided money to that institute. So it's a big controversy. And so what Judicial Watch wanted to do was find out where, how this money was being spent and what it was being spent on by Fauci's agency. And we've been asking for about a year. I think we asked in April of last year, and we're still getting the runaround. I could say, can you believe it? But you believe it, right? So we're still getting the runaround. We asked for all internal communications regarding the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, all agreements and contracts and related documents between the Fauci agency and the Wuhan Institute, and all records, including agreements, fund disbursement records, and related communications regarding a reported $3.7 million in grants provided to NIH, by NIH, your tax dollars, to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. In April 2020, the Daily Mail first reported the documents show the Wuhan Institute of Virology undertook coronavirus experiments on mammals captured more than 1,000 miles away in Yunnan, funded by a $3.7 million grant from the U.S. government. The NIH in April 2020 suspended funding to the grant, which was to the nonprofit Eco Health Alliance that had previously established a partnership with the Virology Institute in Wuhan, China. But in August, so they suspended it because the news got out that we gave money to this Eco Alliance, this Eco Health Alliance. They were giving money to the Wuhan Institute. People went ballistic. The tax dollars were being used that way, so they shut it down. So what did they do next? They waited a few months and gave another grant of $7.5 million, reportedly to, quote, focus on Southeast Asia and the emergence of coronavirus, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know how that money's being spent. So we want documents about it. For almost a year, Dr. Fauci's agency has stonewalled Judicial Watch's request, a lawful request. So this is an outlaw response. FOIA law requires documents be turned over within a certain amount of time. And if they're not turned over, there has to be justification for the withholding. And that's not happening. So the agency's outside the laws, about as far as I'm concerned. We want to know about the connections to this controversial Wuhan laboratory. The American people have a right to know about Dr. Fauci's national institutes, his Allergy Institute and Infectious Disease Institute, their involvement with the infamous Wuhan Institute of Virology. I mean, this story about the U.S. funding for the Wuhan Institute's work in coronaviruses and other things like that, it's been out there a long time. Why is Judicial Watch the one suing for the information or having to sue for the information? They have something to hide? In my experience, if they turn over documents that they should be turning over under law, it's not because of the bureaucracy is just too slow. It's usually because they have something to hide. That's the truth.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.